The Beast in the Woods. The Academy planet of Vorrak was beautiful, but it was not safe. Its twin suns bathed the valleys and forests in golden light, and from orbit it looked like a garden world. Yet beneath that beauty lurked wild creatures brought here from across the galaxy. Predators, scavengers, and strange hybrids, meant to test students of the Galactic Academy of cooperation in real environments. Every species at the Academy boasted of its survival skills. The reptilian Hresic bragged about hunting venomous serpents back home. The feathered Thricala spoke of storms so violent they stripped flesh from bone. Even the chitinous Drexel, towering insectoids with claws sharp as plasma, reminded everyone that they had crawled out of war-scarred wastelands and survived. But the humans? They were still new, fragile-looking, with soft skin, short lifespans, and no natural claws, spines, or venom. Most aliens regarded them as a curiosity, at best, or as prey that had somehow stumbled into civilization, at worst. Among the few humans enrolled at the Academy was Eliot, a boy of 16 years, quiet and unremarkable. He preferred the back rows of class, his eyes often buried in notes or sketches. Eliot rarely spoke above a whisper. While his classmates boasted of their strength, Eliot's strength lay hidden in observation. He noticed details others ignored: the twitch of an alien ear, the pattern of clouds before a storm, the way predators circled before striking. It was this same attention to detail that brought him face to face with the Vorrak. The Vorrak was a legend already. Whispers spread through the dorms about a beast spotted near the tree line. Massive, dark-furred, eyes like molten amber. Some claimed it had devoured a scout drone in one bite. Others said it howled at night with such fury that even the Drexel refused patrol duty. Eliot first saw it while sketching near the forest, away from the noisy clamor of the Academy courtyard. He had been tracing the vein-like structures on a native fern when a low, ragged sound carried through the air. Not a growl, not quite. More like a choked, desperate cry. He froze, heart thundering. Slowly, carefully, he lifted his gaze. There, between the trees, stood the Vorrak. Its body was enormous, easily 3 times his height, its shoulders rippling with muscle. Its ears were bat-like, twitching with every sound, and its jaws open to reveal teeth that looked designed to shear through bone. Eliot's every instinct screamed to run, but then he noticed something strange. The Vorrak's head jerked as if in pain. It pawed at its muzzle with one clawed limb, snapping its jaws repeatedly, then gave a pitiful, muffled roar. And in that instant, when it opened wide, Eliot saw it, a jagged white shard lodged deep between its fangs. A bone. The beast wasn't prowling to hunt. It was starving, trapped in agony, unable to chew properly. Eliot's fear didn't vanish, but it shifted. What stared back at him was still a predator. Yes, but it was also a creature in pain. He had seen similar expressions before, in the stray dogs of his Earth neighborhood, cornered by hunger and wounds. The Vorrak locked eyes with him then, and Eliot's breath caught. Its amber gaze was filled not only with feral intensity, but something raw, almost pleading. He backed away, step by step, until the trees swallowed the beast again. That night, the Academy buzzed with news of another Vorrak sighting. Students argued in the dining hall. It should be put down, hissed a Drexel, mandibles clacking. A predator in pain is more dangerous than one well-fed. No one can get close enough. A Thricala scoffed, feathers rattling. Its jaws would snap any healer in two. The consensus was clear: leave it to starve, or wait until guards blasted it into ash. Eliot sat in silence, fingers tightening around his notes. He could still see the bone in the Vorrak's mouth, the way it had pawed helplessly at its muzzle. None of the others had noticed, or perhaps they had, and simply didn't care. To them, it was just a dangerous animal. To Eliot, it was something else entirely. When he returned to his dorm, he spread his xenobiology sketches across his desk. He traced the diagrams of Vorrak anatomy he had copied from the archives: jaw structure, gum lines, pressure points. His mind raced. If he had the right tools, clamps, antiseptic, maybe gloves reinforced with synth thread, could he? The thought was absurd. He was a shy human, barely respected among his peers. What could he possibly do against a monster that even Drexel warriors feared? And yet, he couldn't shake the memory of those eyes. If no one else would help, then maybe, just maybe, it had to be him. For 3 nights, Eliot couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, imagining what would happen if he failed. The Vorrak's jaws closing around him, his classmates laughing at his foolishness. His body never found. But every time, the image returned. The Vorrak thrashing, crying out in pain, alone in the woods. On the 4th night, he whispered to himself, "I'll try." The next morning, Eliot visited the supply depot, quietly gathering what he could. A surgical clamp, antiseptic spray, and reinforced gloves meant for field research. His hands trembled as he stuffed them into his satchel. At lunch, he overheard 2 Resic boasting about how the Vorrak would probably die within the week. Eliot looked down at his tray, heart pounding, but said nothing. That evening, when the suns dipped low and the forest grew shadowed and still, Eliot slung the satchel over his shoulder and walked toward the treeline. The academy towers faded behind him. Ahead, the woods whispered with unseen life. Somewhere inside, the Vorrak waited, hurting. Eliot drew a shaky breath. For the first time in his life, the quiet boy wasn't heading to watch or to sketch. He was going to act. And the galaxy would soon discover just how dangerous human compassion could be. Into the beast's den. The forest was alive with sound as Eliot pushed deeper beneath the canopy. The suns had sunk low, their fading light painting long shadows across the undergrowth. Chirps, rustles, and distant howls echoed through the alien trees. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back, yet he pressed forward, each step heavy with the weight of his decision. He gripped the satchel tightly, fingers brushing against the cold metal of the clamp inside. His palms were slick with sweat. What am I doing? He thought. I'm just a student. I don't belong here. But then he remembered the Vorrak's eyes, those molten amber orbs filled with helpless pain. That memory alone carried him further. Eliot found signs of the creature before he saw it. Broken branches, claw marks gouged into tree trunks, paw prints pressed deep into the soil. They were huge, nearly the size of his chest. He knelt, running trembling fingers along one print. Fresh! The beast was close. His breath quickened, but he forced himself to keep moving. He followed the trail until the forest opened into a hollow, illuminated faintly by shafts of golden light. There it was. The Vorrak lay curled against a boulder, its massive chest rising and falling in ragged breaths. Even from a distance, Eliot could hear the low, guttural whines escaping its throat. The beast pawed weakly at its muzzle, claws scraping furrows in the dirt. The bone still jutted between its fangs, lodged like a cruel spear. Eliot froze, heart pounding in his ears. His legs wanted to flee, but his mind whispered, "This is why you came." He forced himself to step closer. A twig snapped underfoot. The Vorrak's head shot up. Its amber eyes locked onto him, and the forest filled with a warning growl that vibrated through the ground. Eliot flinched, every muscle screaming to run. But he swallowed his fear, raising both hands slowly, palms outward. "I'm not here to hurt you," he whispered, though he knew the beast couldn't understand the words. His voice shook, but he continued, I just want to help." The Vorrak's ears twitched. It snarled, baring fangs around the embedded bone. Saliva glistened in the fading light, dripping onto the dirt. Eliot's knees buckled. He forced himself to kneel, lowering his body to appear smaller. His satchel slid forward, and with painstaking slowness, he pulled free the reinforced gloves. He slipped them on, his fingers trembling, then set the clamp beside him where the Vorrak could see. The beast's growl softened, not gone, but uncertain. Its sides heaved, chest expanding and contracting as though torn between attack and exhaustion. Eliot's heart hammered. This is insane. One wrong move, and I'll be nothing but a smear of blood. Yet beneath the terror, something else flickered, resolve. He thought of Earth's stray animals again, the dogs that had snarled and snapped until they realized his hands held food, not harm. He thought of his grandmother's words. Sometimes kindness is sharper than any blade. He inched forward, stopping every few steps, letting the Vorrak see, hear, and scent him. His every movement deliberate, unthreatening. Finally, he stood within arm's reach. Up close, the Vorrak was even more terrifying. Its fur was coarse and dark, its muscles taut beneath the skin. Its breath stank of rot and blood, hot against his face. The jagged bone glistened between its teeth, wedged deep enough to cut the gums. Eliot swallowed hard. "Easy," he murmured, more to steady himself than the creature. "Just hold still." He lifted the clamp slowly, raising it toward the beast's maw. The Vorrak flinched, growling, but did not strike. Its golden eyes bored into his, blazing with both fury and desperate pain. Eliot's hands shook as he angled the clamp. The tips brushed against the slick edge of the bone. The Vorrak tensed, a rumble building in its chest. Eliot froze. "Please," he whispered. "Trust me." Minutes stretched like hours. Eliot tried again, this time finding a firmer grip on the shard. He squeezed the clamp, locking onto the bone. The Vorrak let out a guttural roar of agony. Eliot nearly dropped the tool as the beast thrashed, claws tearing furrows in the earth. He ducked, heart racing, but didn't let go. The bone shifted just slightly. Gritting his teeth, Eliot pulled. The shard scraped free with a sickening crack, coated in blood and saliva. Eliot stumbled back, clutching the clamp with the jagged bone still clamped in its jaws. His chest heaved, adrenaline flooding every nerve. For a heartbeat, silence fell. The Vorrak blinked, jaws working freely for the first time in days. Its tongue swept across its teeth, testing. Then, slowly, its growl faded into a deep, resonant huff. It looked at Eliot, not with rage, but with something startlingly close to recognition. Eliot dared to breathe. He tossed the bloody shard aside and lowered the clamp. "There," he whispered, voice hoarse. "It's gone. You're free now." The Vorrak rose to its full height, towering over him. Eliot tensed, every muscle screaming for flight. The beast could end him in a heartbeat. But instead, it lowered its massive head, pressing its snout close enough that he could feel the warmth of its breath. It sniffed him once, twice, then rumbled, a deep, almost curious sound. For the first time since he'd arrived at the academy, Eliot felt seen. Not as prey, not as weak, but as something more. The Vorrak turned, lumbering back into the forest, vanishing into the shadows. Eliot collapsed onto the dirt, gasping, heart still racing. He had done it. He had helped the unhelpable. But as he stared at the bloody shard glinting in the grass, he realized this was only the beginning. The Vorrak would not forget, and neither would he. Whispers in the academy. The halls of the Galactic Academy had never felt so suffocating. Eliot sat at the edge of his lecture pod, hunched over his datapad, trying to lose himself in the glowing script of interstellar history. But it was no use. He could feel the stares, sharp, unrelenting, piercing into his back like laser fire. They knew. Whispers rippled through the class like a current. Alien tongues muttered in hisses, clicks, and trills, but Eliot didn't need to understand every word. He caught fragments. Vorrak, human, impossible survived. The memory of the night still burned in his mind. The Vorrak's growl, the searing fear in his veins, the way its golden eyes had softened once the bone was freed. He thought it would be his secret, but nothing in the academy stayed hidden for long. Professor Rilf, a towering insectoid with glimmering carapace plates, clicked his mandibles as he addressed the class. "Today," he droned, "we will discuss the ecological dynamics of predatory species." But his multifaceted eyes never left Eliot, nor did the others. A Saran student, all wings and translucent skin, leaned toward her neighbor and whispered audibly, "Humans are reckless. They don't understand boundaries. The touch of Vorrak? Madness." Another, a squat, stone-skinned Ural, rumbled, "Madness? No, it is suicidal. The Vorrak devour trespassers without hesitation. Yet the human lives. Why?" His crystalline gaze flicked toward Eliot. Eliot kept his head down. His ears burned. He wanted to vanish into the floor. When class ended, the swarm of questions descended. Is it true? Hissed a serpentine Rin, her eyes wide. You touched it? With your bare flesh. No gloves could withstand the Vorrak's bite. A feathered Lurin chirped. How did you survive? Eliot backed away, hands raised. I didn't touch it. Not directly. I used a clamp. The group erupted in confused chittering. But why would you even try? The Sarn demanded. Her wings buzzed with agitation. It was dying, human. The Vorrak are dangerous predators. You should have left it. That is the law of nature. Something in Eliot snapped. He lifted his head for the first time, meeting their stares. Because it was suffering. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. The aliens recoiled as if struck. Compassion for predators was an alien concept to them. To them, danger was to be avoided, pain ignored, and predators respected only from afar. But Eliot's voice grew steadier, firmer. Back on Earth, we don't just let something die if we can help it. Predator or prey, wild or tame, it doesn't matter. If there's a chance to save a life, we try. Silence. A silence so heavy it pressed against his chest. Then a nervous trill rippled through the group, half fear, half disbelief. You humans are insane, muttered one. Or perhaps, rumbled the Ural, his crystalline face unreadable. Perhaps there is something else entirely. The whispers didn't stop after that day. They grew louder. Rumors spread across the academy, carried in every hall and lecture chamber. The human touched a Vorrak. The beast did not kill him. The Vorrak spared him. Some said he had enslaved the creature with strange earth magic. Others whispered darker theories. The humans were secretly kin to predators, sharing their hunger. Eliot felt the weight of every glance. The quiet boy who once went unnoticed was now a figure of fascination and fear. A week later, the summons came. Dean Kether, an elder of the council species, summoned Eliot to the glassy tower at the heart of the academy. The office was vast, its walls alive with holograms of ecosystems across the galaxy. The dean, a being of flowing tendrils and liquid flesh, regarded him with unblinking eyes. Human Eliot, Kether's voice gurgled, echoing strangely. You stand accused of endangering the balance of our world. Eliot's throat tightened. I didn't endanger anyone. I helped it. Helped. The dean's tendrils rippled, betraying agitation. A Vorrak is apex predator. For millennia, no species has dared approach one alive. And yet you, a fragile Deathworlder, claim not only to have touched it, but to healed it. Eliot's fists clenched. Not healed. Freed. It had a bone stuck in its teeth. It was suffering. I removed it. The dean leaned closer, liquid body undulating. And why risk your life for such a thing? Because no one else would. The words burst from him like a blade. His voice shook, but he didn't falter. Because I couldn't stand to walk away knowing I might have made a difference. For a long moment there was silence. Then the dean spoke softly, almost to himself. Humans, always rewriting the rules of survival. You are either fools, or something the galaxy has not yet understood. The chamber dimmed, the holograms shifting to show predators of 100 worlds. Serpents, talons, fangs, claws. Deadly, beautiful, untouchable. Except one image flickered differently, a Vorrak, muzzle bloody, eyes glowing amber. The system recorded its recent release, its vitals stabilizing. Proof. You have altered what we thought immutable, the dean said. The Vorrak did not kill you. Instead, it spared you. This will ripple through the stars. Eliot's breath caught. I didn't mean to change anything. I just wanted to help. And yet, Kether said, voice like the churn of water, that is precisely why it will change everything. When Eliot left the tower, the academy was abuzz. Students stared not with contempt, but with something heavier, fear, awe, reverence. For the first time, the shy little human wasn't invisible. For the first time, the galaxy wondered what humanity truly was. The beast returns. Night fell heavy over the Galactic Academy. The spires gleamed in the glow of twin moons, their reflections rippling across the glassy lakes surrounding the campus. Students hurried indoors, their voices hushed, their eyes darting toward the shadows of the bordering forests. Something stirred out there. Eliot sat by his dorm window, restless. For days, rumors had only grown louder. Some called him reckless. Others whispered he was chosen, a being marked by predators. He wanted none of it. He hadn't meant to change the galaxy, only to ease one creature's pain. A low, guttural howl tore through the night. Every hair on Eliot's neck stood on end. He knew that sound, the Vorrak. Within minutes, alarms blared across campus. Automated defense drones activated, red lights sweeping the grounds. Alien students screamed, scrambling to safety. Predator incursion. The warning echoed in a dozen languages. Eliot bolted from his room before he could think. His legs carried him toward the source of the howls, toward the main quadrangle where the scent of ozone and fear hung thick. The Vorrak stood there, massive, fur bristling, golden eyes burning like molten fire. Its maw opened in a roar that rattled the academy walls. Drones circled, weapons primed. Professors shouted commands. The entire campus braced for slaughter. But then its eyes locked on Eliot, and it did not move. Eliot's chest tightened. He stepped forward. "Stop," he cried, his voice cracking but clear. "Don't shoot." The crowd gasped. Professor Riltha's mandibles clattered in outrage. "Human, you'll be torn apart. Fall back." Dean Kether's liquid form shimmered with unease. "This is no longer about compassion, child. It is survival." But Eliot ignored them. Slowly, he approached. His hands trembled, but his eyes never wavered from the Vorrak's. The beast lowered its head. Eliot swallowed hard, his voice barely above a whisper. "You remember me, don't you?" The Vorrak growled low in its throat, but not with hostility. It was a rumble of recognition. Its ears flicked back. Its great jaws parted slightly, revealing no threat, only acknowledgement. The drones hovered, awaiting orders. The crowd froze, caught between instinct and disbelief. Eliot reached out, this time not with tools, but with his bare hand. His fingers brushed the Vorrak's fur. Coarse, warm, alive. The Vorrak exhaled, a gust of hot breath washing over him. Then it lowered itself onto its haunches, bowing its massive head before the small human. Shock rippled through the crowd. The Sarin girl whispered, wings trembling, "Impossible." The stone-skinned Ural rumbled. "The predator kneels to him." Dean Kether's voice wavered with something close to reverence. Never in recorded history. Eliot turned, heart pounding, eyes fierce despite his fear. "Do you see now? It's not about power, not about fear. It's about compassion, about seeing beyond what something is and believing in what it could be." The Vorrak growled softly again, as if echoing his words. The academy guards lowered their weapons, uncertain. No one dared break the fragile moment. Eliot stroked the beast's fur, speaking louder now, his voice carrying across the quadrangle. "You all call humans reckless. Dangerous. Maybe we are, but not because we want to dominate. It's because we try, even when it's foolish, even when it's hopeless. We step forward when everyone else steps back." His eyes swept over his classmates, wide-eyed, silent, shaken. "We don't just survive on our Deathworld. We care for it, for everything on it. That's what makes us human." The Vorrak lifted its head, releasing a low, resonant howl. But it wasn't the cry of a predator. It was a declaration, a bond. And every student felt it in their bones. For the first time, they didn't see Eliot as fragile. They saw him as something else entirely. In the days that followed, the story spread like wildfire across the stars. The human who touched the Vorrak, the predator who spared him, the compassion that defied instinct. Scholars debated it. Leaders questioned it. But one truth sank deep into the galactic consciousness. Humans were not what they had assumed. Not prey, not predators. Something stranger. Something more dangerous in its own way. Because in a galaxy built on fear and survival, humans carried the most alien trait of all, empathy. Back in his dorm, Eliot sat quietly by the window again. Outside, the forest stirred with unseen life. He felt eyes watching him from the dark, but this time there was no fear. A soft thump landed just beyond the tree line. Golden eyes gleamed faintly in the moonlight. The Vorrak was there, waiting, watching, guarding. Eliot smiled faintly, whispering to himself, "Guess we're both not so alone anymore."